So, picture this. It's March 24th, 2015, and a photo pops up on Facebook. Looks totally normal, right? Just a snapshot from a fun night out. But hidden inside this simple picture was a single, tiny detail that would take investigators 2 whole years to find. A detail that would end up solving a tragic murder.
And here it is. This photo shows 18-year-old Brittany Gargol and her best friend, Cheyenne Antoine. It was posted just a few hours before Brittany's body was found on the side of a road near Saskatoon, Canada. The chilling part? What no one knew at the time was that the photo itself actually contained the murder weapon.
Okay, so to really get what happened that night, we first need to understand the 2 young women at the very center of this story. They were best friends, yeah, but their lives could not have been more different.
I mean, the contrast between their lives is just stark. On one hand, you have Brittany. She's ambitious, working multiple jobs, saving up for a business degree, and she has this incredible family support system behind her. And then on the other hand, you have Cheyenne, whose life was really shaped by generational trauma. Her parents were victims of Canada's residential school system, which led to a cycle of addiction and instability that put Cheyenne in foster care, where she, unfortunately, also suffered harm.
You know, they actually met back in high school and just formed this incredibly powerful bond. Cheyenne was looking for a friend she could really count on, someone supportive. And Brittany, who was known for being so kind, was exactly that person. Their friendship really became a constant for Cheyenne in a world that was pretty much anything but stable.
All right, let's fast forward to their final night together. It was March 2015, both girls were deep in studying for exams, and they just decided they needed a break to unwind.
So the night starts out simple enough. They stop at a friend's house to get some gas money. Then at 12:02 a.m., just 2 minutes past midnight, Cheyenne posts that now infamous selfie to Facebook. And after that, the digital trail just goes cold. Silence. 6 hours later, a driver passing by makes this absolutely horrific discovery on the side of the road.
When police get to the scene, it's clear something violent happened. The autopsy would later confirm that Brittany died from strangulation. Now, investigators collected a few items, but one in particular, a black braided belt, found lying right there next to her body, would become the absolute linchpin of this entire case.
Cheyenne was the last person to see Brittany alive, so naturally, all eyes turned to her. But getting a straight answer out of her, well, that turned out to be nearly impossible.
And get this, just before the police managed to track her down, Cheyenne posts on Brittany's Facebook wall playing the part of the worried friend. But her story to investigators was about to completely fall apart.
Cheyenne just started spinning this web of deception. First, she claimed they went to 2 different bars, but police quickly proved they never even went to the second one. Then she used her uncle for an alibi, and he later admitted he'd lied to protect her. She even made up this wild story about a motel, dangerous men, a drug deal gone wrong. None of it ever happened.
The first real crack in her story didn't come from police work, but from her own family. Cheyenne's aunt reached out to Brittany's family with a chilling revelation. On the night of the murder, a distraught and intoxicated Cheyenne had shown up at her house and confessed, "I killed my friend."
2. That's how many years this case went cold. Can you believe it? Even with the aunt's chilling confession, police still didn't have the hard physical evidence they needed to directly connect Cheyenne to the murder. For 2 long years, the investigation just stalled, while the answer was literally hiding in plain sight.
So after all those lies and all those dead ends, the breakthrough finally came from going back and re-examining the very first piece of evidence they had.
So what was it? What could possibly have been overlooked for so long? What was hiding in plain sight that could finally bring some justice for Brittany?
In 2017, investigators decided to take another look at that selfie Cheyenne had posted on Facebook. I mean, they had seen it countless times, but this time, they looked closer. Really close. And their eyes just locked onto this one small detail. Around Cheyenne's waist, she was wearing a very specific, very distinctive black braided belt.
And there it was. The belt in the photo was a perfect match for the belt found at the crime scene, the murder weapon itself. The puzzle piece they had been missing for 2 years had been sitting on social media the entire time. This visual link was the key they needed. Investigators went right back to the DNA they'd recovered from that belt years earlier. They compared the unknown profile to Cheyenne's DNA, and it was a direct match. The forensic evidence was now totally irrefutable.
So, faced with this undeniable proof, Cheyenne finally admitted she was involved.
But her version of what happened that night left this huge fog of uncertainty that, honestly, is still there to this day.
Here's what Cheyenne claimed. They had both been extremely intoxicated. She remembered getting into an argument with Brittany, but said she completely blocked out shortly after. She insisted she had no memory of the killing itself, only waking up with this sense that something terrible had happened.
In court, Cheyenne was originally charged with second-degree murder. She ended up accepting a plea deal for the lesser charge of manslaughter, which basically means she acknowledged her responsibility without admitting she intended to kill. The final sentence was 7 years in prison. Because she claims to have no memory, we may never know the full truth. Was it a drunken argument that just spun horribly out of control, or was there something more sinister at play? That why remains a painful, unanswered question.
In the end, this case leaves behind the profound loss of a young life. As Brittany's stepmother said, she was a bright, joyful person with her whole future ahead of her, and that life was just tragically cut short.
And that leaves us with this final thought. When the person responsible claims they have no memory of their actions, can there ever be a true sense of closure or justice for the victim and their family? It's a really complex question at the heart of this heartbreaking case.